So this is Surge Zombie Crypto. I've been following him forever. He's come on live. He knows Noah. Noah may show up, everybody. Welcome to the NFT Talks Virtual Con. This is our last talk. He has limited time, so we're just going to jump right into it. Surge, you are somewhere in Oregon near Washington State. And
just north of Portland, Oregon, in Washington State. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And dude, you just have so much knowledge. I know you started early in crypto, and then you got into NFTs. Just tell us how you got into crypto first, and then we'll move on to NFTs.
So crypto, there was a buddy that I was hanging out with a lot, and he was very big on Bitcoin and was one of those Bitcoin nutcases that, wanted to transfer all of his fiat into Bitcoin because it was the future. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I didn't really understand it. You can do the same with PayPal, right? You can send money across borders with PayPal or whatever. Anyways, but I did start looking into it a little bit. And I think that was shortly after Ethereum came out and Ethereum was gaining momentum. And I looked at Ethereum and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool because the virtual machine aspect of it, the fact that you can build apps and programs on top of it is really, really neat. And so I started digging more into Ethereum, started falling in love with it and slowly, buying into it and getting more and more involved with it.
Very cool. And then I guess you had your own business or something, but now are you full-time Web3 or are you doing other things?
Yeah, so I had my business. I signed it over to my business partner, bought myself out, and then just wanted to go more into full-time content creation and Web3, preferably Web3, because content creation, as fun as it is a very rocky road. If you get your account deleted or banned or whatever, then you have to start from scratch. So my goal is to get into Web3 full-time and continue content creation as well on the side.
Very cool. And what got you into NFTs? What got you into the space?
NFTs, when CryptoKitties came out, NFTs started being a huge, buzzword, and people started getting excited about it. I saw the CryptoPunks, but wasn't really impressed by the art. It looks like it looked low quality. CryptoKitties came out, and I also wasn't really impressed because they, try to say that it's a game, but really it was like Tamagotchis on the blockchain. And CryptoKitties, when I saw it affect Ethereum's gas prices like crazy, when people started, breeding those CryptoKitties, that's when I realized that, okay, people are going to notice NFTs. And so I started looking more into, other NFT projects, what else was possible. But back then, documentation wasn't really readily available for NFTs. And so it wasn't until about 2019 or somewhere around there, where maybe it was 2018 when Zedrun first came out, that I started looking at it. And that's when it clicked for me that, okay, so you can actually own this thing in a game versus, CryptoKitties just being a super simple game. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, so you can own this asset in a game and earn rewards with it potentially, but the earning rewards is, side point. But the fact that you actually own this asset and you can do things with it and then sell it when you decide to move on, that was really, really neat to me. So I started looking into more of what's possible with NFTs. And it's really, really neat. And I think that the term NFT should be decoupled from profile pictures and JPEGs, because we need to start thinking outside of the JPEG. There's a lot more that you can do with NFTs, as people are talking about now and last year.
Right. And are there any projects that you think we don't want to do financial advice here, do your own research, but are there any projects that you're like, wow, that's a cool application of NFTs?
Yeah, there's a couple of projects that I really like what they're doing, but I don't want to mention them. So what I can do is I can mention the fields that they're addressing. Okay, and then people can start going out and looking at it from and doing their own research, because that's what I prefer to do instead of just being like, okay, this project is cool, go buy it. Hey Noah, how you doing?
What's up, Noah?
What's going on, buddy? Guys, my computer took me like 5 minutes to restart, so I'm here though. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
No worries. So like the possibilities with NFTs, you can do like ticketing, which Gary Vee talks about all the time. You can do like memberships. You can have in-game items, you can have collectibles, rare art. But there are other projects that are doing things outside of just the stuff that's being talked about, like doing vehicle titles as NFTs so that you can have the entire vehicle history on the NFT record. There's, house deeds being converted to NFTs, etc. Some of the really cool projects in the space that are doing things even further outside are, like NFT Yearbook, right? They are a 3D file, or it's going to be a 3D file of the entire year's review in the NFT space. And people will be able to hold the NFT and actually flip through the book and then also redeem a printed copy of it as well to keep at home. I think that's really, really neat. What are some other projects? Obviously, the projects that use artificial intelligence are pretty insane, both in the art aspect and then in the ownership of artificial intelligence profiles. There's a bunch of really neat, high quality games that are coming out, which I'm excited for because let's be honest, the games that are out there, Axie Infinity, they're not very impressive. But the other thing that sorry, I keep saying a lot. The other thing that we need to keep an eye on as consumers, consumers of these NFT services, is the Creative Commons no rights reserved NFTs. Those are the NFTs like the Bored Apes, like what was the other one that recently came out? Binkies. There's a couple others that they give you full rights to the image and you can use it in any way that you want. And so you can start building a brand on top of that NFT that you bought. Even if, the price falls or whatever, you can still use that as your company logo. You can use it as, representative for your business, etc.
Right. Very cool. And I want to hear about what your advice is for people making an NFT collection in a second, as far as smaller collections or the 10,000 PFP collections. What is your advice for them? But I just wanted to ask you real quick about NFT NYC. You're going, and what do you think about what you're going to see there? What do you want to see there? Or what are your expectations for NFT NYC?
So I went to NFT LA earlier this year with the sole purpose of networking and just meeting people. That is the goal for me with NFT NYC as well. NFT NYC is the largest NFT event in the United States. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity to network, not only with content creators, but also creators of projects. I met a couple of really cool devs of various projects in NFT LA that are also going to be there. So it'll be nice to connect and expand my circle of contacts and acquaintances in the NFT and crypto space. And I honestly, that's the biggest reason why I'd want to go to NFT NYC.
Cool. And what is your advice for people doing small and large NFT projects? Like, what advice would you give them from your experience?
Well, we've had quite a few speakers here already talk about what their experiences are. For me, what advice I could give for people that are creating their own collections would be to focus. I have some notes on my side monitor. That's why I'm looking off to the side. Obviously, build a community and focus on utility. The utility being something other than just the community that's attached to the NFT. The one thing that people don't really think about is think hard about which chain you want to mint on. A lot of people are switching over to Solana because it's cheaper, but with their network outages and we saw Terra Luna go down. All of the projects on Terra Luna are gone. So if you bought NFTs or whatever else on Terra Luna, then that's gone forever. Same thing can happen with any other chain. And I'm not saying this to bash on Solana. I'm just saying this so that people are more careful with which chains they choose for both themselves and for the people that are going to be buying these things. Honestly, 99% of my NFTs are on Ethereum specifically for that point. It's an established platform. It isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And I think that a lot of these artists and creators also need to keep that in mind as well. I'm not telling people to mint on Ethereum, but just something to consider when you're minting. Right. Another thing is to look at the different tools that are available to help you accomplish these awesome things. Between Discord, there's tools for content creation in terms of helping you generate art, copy, etc. for the websites. The website is definitely one thing that a lot of people mess up on. Websites could use some work. There are plenty of people in the space that have the capability. So it's not shameful to reach out to the community and be like, hey, if you guys know somebody that is able to do web development or search engine optimization or whatever, have them reach out to us so that we can help. That's part of why I started doing the TikTok filter thing. I threw that out there to just to try to help some of the smaller content creators, because exposure matters, especially in a market like this, in order to build a community, and a community that's being built around working with the creator versus just listening and, eating up everything that the creator says is going to be a lot stronger of a community and survive, or have a greater chance of survival through a bear market like this. And then another thing, like if you are gamifying your minting and ownership of the NFTs, that also helps to keep the community engaged and keep them excited. We've seen this a lot with recent projects. It's a shame that my brother wasn't able to come on. They had a bunch of stuff come up, but they did this really, really well with their community. It's been doing decently, even with the issues that they've had very recently. But just gamifying your minting and ownership of the NFTs, even if they are just images, that adds a lot of utility to that. And then optimizing your contract. Go ahead.
And sorry, what do you mean by gamifying? What does that mean?
Just, that's a really long thing to try to explain. Noah, do you want to share how some of the stuff that Tony did with their project?
Like how they minted the stuff?
So minting, and then the subsequent follow-up collections and stuff like that. Yeah. I just feel weird talking about my little brother's project, because I don't want to come off as like shilling it,
Yeah, sure. I mean, they keep people up real late on the Discord, because like they'll have like new drops of bears or exclusive drops of like cubs and stuff popping up out of like nowhere, essentially. And so that, I guess that's a gamified portion, but otherwise I'll do like, hey, people that, invest this much in the actual token up front, get this early access and get it cheaper, essentially. So it's like a white listing of that. And then, I mean, yeah, the BeFriends just dropped lately, gas optimized contract. And then whoever is a free mint for people that met certain qualifications, aka like had a bear, had a cub, had 50, K plus MSK. So you get all these giant influx of people bumping their Discord from about 11,000 to about 21,000. And it just like makes it a lot more fun instead of like very sterile, I guess. Does that help? Right.
And you were saying earlier when you were on, Noah, that if you got 6 bears, you got into this alpha group and you got some alpha information. So I understand now what you're saying about if you do certain things, you get more rewards or more NFTs or tokens. Right.
Yeah, just something other than, hey, we're minting on this day. And then when that day comes, it's just a mint process. Having it gamified in a way to where your community is more or less like regularly checking your Discord or your Twitter or whatever for updates helps go a long way, or goes a long way, not helps go a long way, goes a long way into keeping the community active and engaged. We actually saw this really well with the Faceless Many. I don't know if you follow MacLord and Alex.
Yes. Yeah.
We saw them do that also very well. They also, both of those projects also implemented an off-chain reward system. So for holding those NFTs, you get a certain amount of these rewards on the website that you can then go and redeem for either, the NFTs or the follow-up collections, or for real world items like the Faceless Many does. You can buy like an Oculus Quest, not an Oculus Rift. And some like travel rewards cards and some other stuff. So it's just like having something that encourages your community to check in regularly and hold those NFTs versus just selling them will go a long way.
And then Zombie, can we talk about how powerful getting a job in Web3 is? I talked about getting like careers in Web3 earlier. Is that something you can speak about?
Yeah, I just can't speak about very many details because I'm trying to finalize some stuff.
Of course.
What was, let me see. Oh, also optimizing contracts. So regardless of which chain you're on, if you're just using a standard contract, it's obviously going to cost gas. We saw this really well with, again, my brother's project. Not trying to shill him, but they took the ERC 721A contract and refined it even further to make it to where when I minted 5 of his free mint NFTs, they cost me $1.89 each, which is pretty insane on Ethereum,
Right,
just randomly
right.
throughout the day. So there are.
And
Go ahead.
how are they able to do it and no one else is? Like everybody else has 20, 40, $100 to mint. Is it just that they're better at writing the smart contract? Is that what it is?
They've got a great dev team and they're actively trying to look for ways to do that, whereas other teams are not actively trying to. There's ways to optimize it. Any good dev team could do that, but they've done it miraculously and they're trying to put the people first, wouldn't you say? User experience.
Yeah. So they're spending their own money to make sure that users are wasting less on gas, which is pretty insane in the crypto space, or NFT space, I should say. What they do specifically is, like Noah said, they look at what parts of the contract they can remove or what transactions they can optimize. So let's say when you go to mint an NFT, it's not just you minting an NFT. That's not the only transaction that takes place on the blockchain. There's a couple of other transactions, like you send the Ethereum to the contract. The contract checks to make sure that you have enough Ethereum in your wallet, or checks with the minting contract to make sure that it's not sold out yet. And then, there's a couple of transactions that take place in between you sending the money and receiving the NFT. So the more of those transactions that you can cut down on, the lower the gas fee will be, because it takes less processing power to accomplish that task, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when people are just using these standard contracts like the ERC 721 or the 721A, the 721A is optimized to a certain extent, but it's still has quite a few things that if you are building out your contract and you look at it and you're like, I don't need this feature, like just like when you're looking at a car, like I don't need a backup camera, you don't have to pay extra for that. So it's the same thing with these NFT contracts. Is if you don't need the extra features, you can have a skilled developer remove it and, lower gas fees.
Right. Right. Well, we have about, because you got to do some work, we have about 10, 12 minutes. I just wanted to ask you about two things. One, and then Noah, if you have anything. One, the future of the NFT space. What do you see long term? But then also, what are you seeing right now? Because it's amazing that your brother and other people are even selling NFTs at all. And I think they are, because, like you said, they have lots of utility and rewards and all this kind of stuff. And I think you have to do that right now. I don't even think you could sell a PFP project right now. But what do you, like, short term, next month or two, and then long term, what do you see in the NFT space?
Short term, it's very hard to guess. So anybody that thinks that they understand NFTs, when goblins.wtf came out, nobody had any idea like what the hell's going on. So short term, it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the NFT space. It does look like the NFT space is somewhat decoupling from, what like the Bitcoin or Ethereum price is, which is interesting and awesome to see. But it also means that people aren't looking at these NFTs in terms of how much ETH it costs. They're just looking at it in terms of what the price is in US dollars or in fiat. So it'll be interesting to see which way the NFT space heads. I think that if it successfully decouples from crypto, it'll be its own thing. Obviously, it's related to blockchain technology, but it's not going to rely heavily on, the price of Bitcoin or the price of Ethereum. Because if you look at it right now, if you buy something for 1 ETH, it's what, $1,800, right? Let's say Ethereum goes up to $5,000, and that NFT in ETH price will likely drop. I don't think that it's going to remain at 1 ETH. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see if NFTs are more reliant on fiat value, or if they will remain in terms of like Ethereum value. Because when we saw this dip in the market here recently, NFTs took a huge hit with the price of Ethereum falling, but then also people selling, and dropping the floor in order to sell their NFTs to get some money out of them. So I don't know. The NFT space is a little scary for the larger ticket items. For the smaller ticket items, I still think that it's sustainable and has potential. But I hesitate to make any predictions in the short term. In the long term, I think that we'll see NFTs take off with, things like ticketing, like house titles or house deeds, car titles, gaming projects. I think that it's just a matter of time before these larger games see that value in the and I can't think of the word right now. That's what I give for English as a second language. The fees. So from like selling and transferring, right? So let's say music artists, for example, sell an album, somebody listens to it, gets sick of it, decides to sell it. That music artist can still get that fee from the sale and continue earning rewards from that, album that he released a year, 2 years, 10 years ago. So I think that's where the space will head long term. We'll see a lot more adoption in terms of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know if that somewhat answers your question.
That answers it. By the decoupling, do you mean that like the Sherwood project, they just had a mint and you could buy, I believe with ETH, or you could buy with a debit or credit card. So is that what you mean, that we're going to buy a lot more NFTs without the actual crypto and using debit or credit cards, fiat?
More so that these NFT projects will not really rely on the price of Ethereum. So if the price of ETH goes up, the price in terms of fiat might go up, but not as much as the price of Ethereum. Because a lot of the people that hold these high profile projects, for example, like the Bored Apes, right, the Mutant Apes, CryptoPunks, they look at that value in terms of Ethereum. They don't look at it in terms of fiat. On these smaller projects like this, Sherwood project, if somebody bought it for $100, especially if they're able to buy it with a credit card, they're going to remember that I bought this for $100. So if I can sell it for $200, regardless of what the price of Ethereum is, then, they still make a profit. So I think that in terms of decoupling, if we see more and more transactions in terms of fiat, so like if I think OpenSea has that option too, to where you can buy with a credit card at some point.
Right.
But if we start seeing more and more of this, then the price of these NFTs will rely more on the price of, or the fiat value of it versus the crypto value of it. For me, like, it's all about making sure that I have more Ethereum at the end of the day, regardless of what the price of Ethereum is. So.
Right. Noah, do you have anything? We have like 5 minutes. Do you have anything for Zombie?
I like what he said, just about it's, stacking Ethereum regardless of the number, when number go up and all that stuff. I mean, like too many people worry about the price. Sometimes I'll definitely give my guys quote unquote buy signals whenever it goes below. I'm like, hey, your paycheck can now get this many of Ethereum instead of like this few. But yeah, I'm of the same way there. I don't really have any prompts for him, but I do like the way he handles things. We spoke about you a little bit earlier, Zombie. They might have told you that. And
I missed it. I'm sorry. I was on a couple of different calls.
No worries. No, yeah, that for sure. But I'm very excited to see where you specifically will be going in the next, I don't know, in the next few months, So I'll be excited to follow you and, transition from school teaching, maybe something else. So.
We'll see. Yeah, my goal is to remain in a position that allows me to teach, because I really enjoy helping others learn new and exciting things.
Yeah.
And watching something click and that light going off in their head, is inspiring. So I definitely want to stay in something like that. That's why, when I joined the full-time content creation / Web3 space, my goal was to throw out a net into those areas so that I can continue doing what I love and, getting paid for it. So why not?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Well, awesome, man. I know that you have to do some work and you got it last minute. So if there's anything else you want to add to, the NFT space and the crypto space, this is, some people are, thanks, Noah, calling it winter or whatever. But you just see it as like you've been here a long time. There's ups and downs, and there will always be there. Is that the way you see it?
So regardless of what the market's doing, I never invest, or I should say, I never convert more fiat into crypto than I can afford to lock up for at least a few years, right? So I think that more people need to look at it that way, because in 2017, for example, I set up one wallet where I think I put around $2,000 into it. By 2021, that $2,000 was a six-figure wallet. So if you set aside money now and then just DCA in on a regular basis, even regardless of what the market's like, then you can afford to not worry about what what it's doing, and just look at the long term. If you believe in a project, be it Ethereum, be it Solana, be it Bitcoin, be it an NFT project, if you believe in that project and the team behind it, then it really doesn't matter what the market's doing, because you know that eventually it will recover. That's why there are projects out there right now that I've put quite a bit of money into them and they're down. Yeah. But for me, the goals that I have are set at least 4 years in the future. So I'm not too worried about it. And I think that taking emotion out of the market, not out of like what you're investing in, but out of the market, will not only help you sleep better at night, but it will also help you live longer.
Right.
Because then you're not stressing and having anxiety every time you wake up in the morning and go to check your wallet and stuff.
Very cool, man. Always good to hear your opinion. You have been doing this for so long, and thank you so much for being here. I know you got to go, and I appreciate you not canceling and coming, because we wanted to hear from you so bad. So thanks so much. I know it was quick, and we'll send you a copy of this recording, and we'll be following you, man, like we always do. Thank you so much, Serge. You have a great day.
I appreciate it. Thank you for working around my schedule.
Yeah. Take care, buddy. All right.
Bye.
Bye.